What's up, fam, and welcome back to HOTD, the Westeros Kickback here on Recap Kickback. I'm your host, Chappell, and this is Recap Kickback, where we talk about TV, movies, and music, and all the while showing love to Black content artists and creators whenever we get a chance. But once again, we are talking about House of the Dragon here, and with me, my co-host, the Maester of Whispers and the Keeper of Receipts, Maester Mari Forth. Mari, what's good?
I am so excited to finally talk about this episode I've been waiting for weeks now.
Waiting for it.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun tonight. I can feel it.
Yes, this episode is the Red Sowing, I think, and Mari has been hinting that it was coming. She's been begging for it to come. It finally came, and so we're going to talk about it. And joining us, someone who has returned to King's Landing, to Westeros, to kick it with us here at the Kickback. We just had her on our Recap Kickback last week, talking about Simone Biles' journey to the Olympic gold in Paris for 2024 Olympics. It's LaTonya Starks. LaTonya, what's good?
Me. I'm back.
Yes.
I would like a dragon if they're just up for grabs.
2 for 1 sale.
Yeah. Like, come one, come all. Get a dragon or die.
Yeah, you bold, because I saw what happened when you want to claim a dragon, and I'm good. I am good. I'm fine. Leave me with the small folk like my ancestors. You know, I'm not trying to figure out what this is like. But LaTonya, thanks for coming back. How have you been feeling about this season?
I've been really enjoying a lot of this season. It's very different from the first season, you know, because we had that like time jump mechanism that was a little clunky. But I've been enjoying the setup and kind of like the palace intrigue of it all and the moments that we get to spend with the characters. The one thing I will say is that I want season 1 Daemon Targaryen back.
Okay.
Because I don't know what's happening in Harrenhal, and neither does he. And I need a resolution. There's so much confusion.
Yes, that too. But yes, LaTonya, thank you for being back. Obviously, we got some Aaliyah to address at some point. We don't want to go too far back and forth, but we are going to talk about tonight's episode, season 2, episode 7, the Red Sowing. Last week, we had the War Dog on from Survivor Edge of Extinction. So if you didn't catch that, go check that out. He was such a fun guest, and he took the time to break down the lore of each of the dragons just in time for this episode. When Mari and him were dancing around was it. Eventually, we're going to see people try to claim these dragons, and Mari, this was the episode where it finally happened.
Yep, this is finally, it's called the Red Sowing, the sowing of the dragon seeds, all of the above. This was great. I have so many thoughts and opinions about this, and I'm so glad we're finally here. We can unleash the unleash the dragon.
We can unleash the dragon. Y'all don't make me unleash the dragon. Yeah. You don't really want to unleash the dragons, okay? And we're about to. But I want to thank you all for being here and joining us for our weekly House of the Dragon content here on Recap Kickback. Hopefully you've been enjoying your time here at Westeros Kickback while we are going to be ending the season very quickly after this. I think this is the penultimate episode. I mean, there's one episode left, but we're hoping you'll stay a while. You know, subscribe. Make sure you click like on this video because we got a lot of other content coming your way. And I'm pretty sure there's another iteration of Game of Thrones coming soon, Mari. I'm sure we'll be back for this not too long from now. What's coming up next?
Night of the Seven Kingdoms. It's based on what was short stories by George R.R. Martin, which turned into graphic novels and audiobooks, full treatment. It is a really good series. It currently has 3 books. It was set to have 7 again, and these aren't books. I shouldn't say books. These are short stories, like novellas. But now that I say that, I'm like, but it's short for him, but kind of long for other authors. But the graphic novels are really good. Like, I would say go get the graphic novels, the comics. They're really good. And I think you would love it. Chappell, it's called A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, the story of Dunk and Egg. It follows Sir Duncan the Tall and his squire Egg. Not to be confused with who will be the future Aegon the Fifth, but that's not a spoiler. It's right there in the thing. So it's really, it's like a buddy cop. It's almost like a buddy cop spinoff because Yeah, it follows a hedge knight. Hedge knights are unlanded knights. They're knights they're like sellswords. They're like knights who just go around the kingdom and get paid to do odd jobs. And it follows Duncan the Tall, who is a hedge knight who like honestly just continues to fall ass backward into trouble. Like continuously, to the point where he's like at historical events and he doesn't even realize it and shit. So it's really it's almost like Forrest Gump. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And he's like not that smart. So yeah, it's a really fun little short series, and they already optioned it at HBO. They've already started filming it, and it is expected for release next year. So we should be having alternate like Sir Dunk the Tall, and then House of Dragons like that. So it's gonna be very fun.
Is this the same egg? Sorry, is it the same egg that is Maester Aemon's brother, or a different one?
Yes, it's his. Okay, the Targaryen tree is. It's like his nephew. Egg is his nephew, I believe, because they pass up Maester Aemon, and it goes to the little nephew. Yes, Egg is the fifth. He's the fourth son of a fourth son, and ends up becoming king. It's like it never happens. Yeah,
and I think the episodes are slated to drop next summer, 2025, and so we do have a long break until then. It's only 6 episodes because they love playing in our face and making us wait years and years and years for crumbs.
Yeah,
but in the meantime, we do take requests, y'all. We take requests, so let us know if there's something on here that we should be talking about on Recap Kickback, because I would love to bring you the content that you want. We also take feedback, and we got a little feedback for our panel here today. First of all, I want to give a shout out to all the people who comment weekly in our YouTube comments. Y'all are great. Y'all give us so much to talk about here and so much to discuss. Dolores in our YouTube comments wanted to give a shout out to Mari and her Fourth Wing recommendation. She said, hey, that's a good book to be recommended for people who like the dragons, so check that out if you haven't. And Mari, Andrea Jackson wanted to know if the Valyrians are dragon riders historically as well, because we will see in this very episode that one of the holes ends up on a dragon, and he is a Valyrian or Valyrian descent. We know Corlys is his daddy, but he's flying a dragon. So what's the story behind Valyrians on Dragonback?
So the Valyrians historically are not dragon lords. Corlys says it. They are normally like masters at sea. However, they share the blood of old Valyria. That's where the Valyrians and the Targaryens came from. They're two families that survived the fall of the doom of Valyria. They were able to flee Valyria before it disappears. It gets wiped off the map. We don't know what happened to it. It's still a mystery in the books, but it's called the Doom of Valyria, and both houses survive along with House Celtigar. We talked about that a little bit last week. So the blood of old Valyria runs in their veins, and we talked about in old Valyria last season. They talked about how old Valyria is where most of the magic was centered in the world. That's where the dragons and the dragon riders originated, and that blood is seen to be, it's looked at as pure and full of magic, and that's why the Targaryens intermarry because of it. So the Valyrians aren't of Targaryen blood, they are of the blood of old Valyria, and so it's thought that that is why that they still might have some link to dragons and to magic, because they are still the blood of old Valyria, even though they are not Targaryens.
Okay, good explanation.
So,
no, that makes a lot of sense.
Possible.
I see a lot of people are struggling with the whole Valyria, the Targaryen stuff. I've been seeing it online.
Yeah, it's like, because it's like how like when immigrants come to this country and their names are one thing in their country, and then they just like, what was your name? Yeah, okay, whatever. We're gonna call you this because it sounded like whatever you said. It's like that. That's how I imagine that the Valyrians got their name, because they came from Valyria and they turned themselves to the Valyrians. Whatever. That's how I imagine it.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Also, we got a Instagram message from Satoria Tomberlin, which actually would be a great great Game of Thrones name. Yeah. She had a lot of things to say to me about saying Allison hasn't done nothing wrong. Satoria, I'm gonna tell you right now, I didn't read that. What I'm going to read is the question from Mari, which is, what do you think about the show's decision to make young Rhaenyra and Allison BFFs? Because that does add another dynamic to their relationship.
Yeah, and it's not a thing in the book or anything like that. So them making them best friends, I talked about it last season for the book club on post show recaps, rest in peace. But I thought it was genius. Like, there's so many things about this show that they choose to do with the source material that I think is absolutely brilliant. And I think aging, because I think they had to age Rhaenyra up and Alicent down in order for them to be friends, be in the same age range. And I thought it was smart because it makes the betrayal feel even betrayally, like even worse. So I actually loved that decision, and I think it set off, like, season 1 really set a great foundation for what is going to be. I think they confirmed 4th season, so I think it was great.
Yeah, LaTonya, what do you think about it?
I think that it was a really good decision. Alicent, I think, is supposed to be 10 years older than Rhaenyra in the book. And that would have played very typical evil stepmother. Whereas this dynamic, you know, like, they're so close, they share everything with each other at one point, you know, and those parallels continue into their adulthood. They share a man in Kristen Cole.
They share a
They
daddy.
now both have
Viserys.
Oh God. Don't call Viserys daddy.
Zaddy V, Vizzy T.
No. They now have a scar. Like, each have a scar on their arm and, like, generally the same place. I mean, they're like making them best friends that grow apart because of circumstances and, like, choices that are made, and then have them lead parallel lives is, I think, so much more interesting than just having, like, an evil stepmother.
Yep. Totally agree.
Great point.
Yes. And so let's get into what happened in this episode, because I've been seeing a lot of people complaining and saying, like, oh, this season is boring, this, that, and other. I've not found any of these episodes boring. I've enjoyed this entire run. This might be my least favorite episode so far. Because I just felt like there wasn't a lot of the political stuff that I like to sign up for.
Exactly.
You know, this was kind of like the thing we've been waiting on to happen is about to happen. By the end of the episode, we see that it does happen. Rhaenyra's big plan is to gather the bastards and let us find somebody who can ride these 2 dragons, Vermithor and Silverwing. And so she's talking about her plan throughout, and by the end of the episode, we do see the red sowing that Mari's talked about. She rounds up the bastards, sends them all over from King's Landing all to Dragonstone, gives them a pep talk, says, hey, y'all, this now, it sounds crazy. You could get a dragon, but you could also be dead. And then just lets the odds be in their favor. And we see that 2 of the possibly about 50 bastards make it out alive and manage to claim a dragon. LaTonya, you're new here. Well, how do you feel?
Worst gathering of the juggalos ever. I think it's really interesting that this show is almost choosing to, like, democratize the power that Targaryens are supposed to possess. It's kind of like The Last Jedi with Star Wars with Broom Boy, where they were like, anyone could have access to the Force, right? It really does completely upend things in terms of, like, Targaryen tradition and just monarchy in general. I feel like Rhaenyra has her ragtag group of bastards now, and she's, like, ready for war. And I would like to see it. Like, I just like all of these characters. I love Alan and Adam. Like, I'm sure they're going to be playing big parts in the wars to come. I just don't know what they are yet. But I mean, just the idea of Rhaenyra choosing to do this and kind of make it so that she demystifies the Targaryen name. You know, people are not for it. Like her own son is not for it. The Dragon Keepers are like, we are not participating in this. I don't care. Like, this is ridiculous. But she ends up with more Dragon Riders as a result, which was her intention in the first place. And these people did go willingly. Like, I will say that. Like, they essentially signed a waiver.
They did. They did. They sent a boat and said, you can get on the boat if you want to. And we saw people like Hugh the Hammer and the drunk off the drunk / off the white the white drunk, really trying to figure out, is this something that I need to do? Is this something I really should be doing? Hugh was gung-ho for it, but Mari, my boy Off was like, did I say I was a Targaryen? That's wild. Like, I don't know if I should be flying a dragon. You know what I'm saying? It sounds kind of crazy. My leg hurt. Y'all leg don't hurt? Y'all don't feel
my toe off.
He had been sitting in that brothel, in that bar, drinking off them people's dime for years, probably saying, I'm royalty, baby. Buy me a drink. And finally, they had to hold his feet to the fire and say, all right, now you didn't got drunk off of us for a very long time. It's your time to go get on that dragon or else.
Yeah, I like that scene. His friends like, hey, you said it. Let's go. That was really good. And it's really funny because as a book reader, I like that they're emphasizing everything that LaTonya said. Like, is this really like a for lack of a better word, bastardization of like the Dragon Rider, the godliness of it? Because honestly, to me, as I'm reading the book, I never lost deference for it, because to me it's still like, it almost to me was like the Targaryens are so powerful that even if you have a drop of their blood, that you could be this powerful person. So I didn't see it as a demeaning thing, but I did like a lot of the dissenting voices, because once you actually think about it, and in this world, what they have equivalated like dragons to is like warheads, nuclear weapons. So it's like you're putting nuclear weapons in the hands of who are these people? Who are you? Who are these niggas? Like, who are you giving these dragons to? Yeah. So like, once you stop and think about it like that, it's like, oh yeah, like people should not be cool with you just throwing any old person up on a dragon and telling them like, let's go, follow me, let's go, So I loved all of the different opinions about it and all of that, and Rhaenyra kind of like being like, but I need dragons, and then kind of putting on this facade like, oh, the gods this, the god this. Like they said in the after scenes, talking about how it's almost like a cult, like she's almost like rounding out a cult, because that's what it has to be. You have to have these people like deep belief in order for them to go and risk their lives, especially somebody like Ulf, who was like sitting there at the back of the room like, what did I get myself into?
I like that you brought up the idea that you can't just let these war machines go and just like hand them to the small folk, right? Because God knows what they'll do with them. But at the same time, there's so much elitism that goes into being a Targaryen. We see it with Jace. Jace goes to his mom like, so you just really gonna let these mongrels? I said, mongrel? Jace, hold on, Jace. Slow down, baby. You got a little too much chip. Yeah, too much. Because who are you to say call somebody a mongrel? But it's really just that it's that classism of just like, hey, we're Targaryens and we're highborn. It's not because anybody can be a Targaryen. As we can see, you can go become a Targaryen because your mama works at the wrong brothel, or because your daddy can't stay out of the brothel. We will see that with the bastards that we get in this episode, but we'll also just get other accounts of, I don't really remember who your mama is, or whatever the case may be, and you just happen to have that blood. So the thing that really separates them is the idea that I'm highborn. I get to sit up here on my high horse and look down on you and say you're not worthy of these things. And for Jace, it hits a little close to home because he's now seeing potentially white-haired Targaryens coming back, and that's the worst case scenario for someone like Jace, because being that he's dark-haired, LaTonya, I feel like Jace is Jace a bastard too, LaTonya? Is that
I mean, according to the technical term, He was born out of wedlock. So he was only legitimized by Rhaenyra just being like, yeah, this is my white baby.
That's me. That baby look just like me. Y'all can't tell. Look, he's a bastard. And he knows it.
And he knows it. He for the first time in a long time, since he was very young, he's still young, but like since he was a little kid, verbalized like, notice this brown hair? Like, do you ever like think about the consequences it might have? Like, what happens if you die? Then my only claim would be like, I'm her son and I have a dragon. Oh, wait, but all of these other people have dragons too. So he started to have like a little bit of an identity crisis surrounding the succession. And he's really just like lashing out at his mom. Like, it's hard enough that Rhaenyra has to fight a war, but then she has to deal with like this moody little teenage boy as well.
And it's basically just his own insecurities peeking through, because like he said, like all his only claim is that he has a dragon. He doesn't have the Targaryen. But to me, I'm like for me, I hate it. I hate this thought process, because like no matter who his daddy is, he came out of that Targaryen coochie. You know what I'm saying? Like, he is Targaryen. Like, no matter what color the hair is, full blown, he is a Targaryen. And him being like, oh, because I don't have that hair, and him being mad at her for not having the hair, like, my claim is out the window. It's like, no, your claim is through her, rightfully, bastard or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are of Targaryen descent and direct bloodline. You know, your father isn't it, but your mother is, and she is royal and she is highborn. But it's just all those small insecurities, because he's like, well, how am I different from these other bastards with their white hair and their dragons? He is, because he is from the true heir, the queen of the Seven Kingdoms, Rhaenyra Targaryen.
Look, you know what? I kind of see where he's coming from, and hear me out, because I know y'all. And here comes the contrarian, but listen to me. He is bringing up the very same argument Rhaenyra was bringing up with Vizzy T, which is, when you die, who gives a damn what you think? Because you're not here. I need to be legitimized now, basically, because Rhaenyra let Vizzy T die. And the moment he died, the war broke out. People could try to blame Alicent, they could try to blame Rhaenyra, they could try to blame whoever. The moment Viserys said, and it was a lot of it was Otto, but the moment Viserys said, I'm gonna name my daughter the queen, the first queen of everything in this world of misogyny and patriarchy that everybody has only known one way. They were like, okay, cool, bet. When you die, we're gonna change our minds. And what he should have done is made her the queen while he was still alive, to where he could keep everybody at bay. Hey, y'all are loyal to me. I'm still here. He didn't die at old age. He could have done this early on. He could have done this very quickly. When he got sick, he should have let Rhaenyra start taking over, start kind of easing her into that. If Rhaenyra dies tomorrow, if she has a heart attack and dies, there's a good chance that people are going to be like, now, can we really talk about Jason's heritage right now? Because, I mean, now that we got these white-haired Targaryens, we know that he has a dragon, but that's about it. We don't even like Rhaenyra like that. Like, people can turn their back on her the moment that she's gone. So I think he has a valid concern. They don't have to. Like, listen, they could, keep their loyalty or their oaths to her, but they don't have to. We've seen that before.
Yeah, that's true.
What is she supposed to do? Like, step down and make him the king?
Well, his alternative is, how about don't bring in all these other potential heirs? It's the same again. The same thing Viserys did. Yeah, but he didn't know she was about to. He thought she was about to be like any random bastard. He thought it was Sir Darkland. He worked for us. He good. He like, oh, you got black dragon riders now? Wow, other ones, more.
Yeah, but I get why he's upset. But these people, the parentage on all of these people that they bring on is dubious at best. They don't even know it. I will talk. I'm gonna save it for the book corner who the alleged parentage is for both Ulf and Hard Hugh the Hammer. So I'll save that there, and more thoughts of Jace's thoughts on this from the book is also different. So I'll save that for the book corner as well. but like, yeah, I get it. You know, it's just insecurity. He's just mad that he doesn't have that he has to fight for his claim. I think that's the problem.
He should be insecure, though. I think that Rhaenyra is walking proof that he should be insecure, because she had every claim, because Vizzy said she did, until Alicent went and had those white-haired babies. The moment Aegon and Aemon showed up, people were like, well, hold on, Rhaenyra, because had Vizzy not gone and got potential other heirs, Rhaenyra would have been the only option. And so I just think that Jace is looking at his mom and thinking, this is a cautionary tale. This is literally what happened to you, and I won't stand for it. But LaTonya,
but it's also not because they're hair, but because they were men.
That too, right? And so, like, if you want to discriminate against them for being men versus her being a woman, if the people want to discriminate you for having dark hair, they will. I just feel like Jace is not, like, it's insecurities, but I don't think it's like unfounded. I really think that he should be talking to his mom about what the potential ramifications of this is. But she knows she needs somebody to ride the dragon, and LaTonya, she gonna do whatever it takes to get somebody on the dragons.
Yeah, I really like what they're doing with Alinda being kind of like the messenger in King's Landing for all of the small folk. Like, I feel like Rhaenyra is definitely winning that part of the war. Like, it's really strategic of her to start a Whisper campaign, essentially. And to send them like Uber Eats was great. And like, and so I'm scared, because the most conspicuous thing you could do while telling secrets is wear a red cloak. So I'm kind of worried about her getting caught, but it seems like all the people that are guards, like, because they're just paid to be there, they're not loyal to the people they're being paid. So they're like, okay, yeah, sure, spread this news. So it's really interesting that we get all of these people in King's Landing, like so many of them head to these boats after hearing the news. Like, they kind of close off their private lives and then like go to get on a boat to either claim a dragon or die. That shows how desperate the situation is for the small folk.
Very that. It's the desperation for the small folk because they're being starved by Rhaenyra. But also
the queen.
Remember that Rhaenyra was a celebrated princess in that city all of her life. Like, Alicent and her mutts of sons came later. You know what I'm saying? Rhaenyra was the realm's delight for the longest. Those small folk in King's Landing are the ones who know her the best, because she's been amongst them the most, as opposed to like those people farther out in the Riverlands, the Reach, and above the neck and stuff like that. So and like LaTonya said, it has been a targeted campaign by her mistress of Whisperers to get the people. Like, they are technically losing the battle of winning some of the high houses. They've only won a couple, and then they've lost a few in the war, but they are winning the battle of the small folks' heart. And those are the people who you're going to need. And I think it was it Viserys who said that in season 1, or because that was the main thing in season 1, when her and Daemon went out that night and they saw the play and they were trying to figure out who's going to be the heir. And at first she was like, it was Daemon who said it. At first she was like, who cares about the small folk? And he's like, you need the small folk to rule, and this is what she's doing. I thought this was great. It's so funny because before the season started, the girl with the red cloak, everybody's like, oh, is this old Melisandre? Is this a red witch? No, it's just a girl in a red cloak, you know, spreading the Targaryen. Like, she's a messenger. And I love this. This was so cool. And the guards, the gold cloaks, have no loyalty to the high towers. We know that because, again, we know that it was Daemon Targaryen who founded the gold cloaks, who founded the City Watch, who gave them those gold cloaks. So even though Otto and Alicent and the Greens think they rooted out, you know, any supporters among the gold cloaks, I mean, it's real easy to be like, Daemon, who, what? No, girl, Team Green. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Anything to keep your head from getting chopped off or from getting burned by a dragon. I'm like, yeah, whatever y'all say. Come on, filthy, bend the knee. Oh yeah, all that good stuff.
Here's my knee.
Yeah, I do find it fascinating. Rhaenyra may have seemingly forgotten the lessons of Daemon, because although she knows she needs to win the small folks, keeping the small folks gonna be interesting when they find out all the shenanigans Rhaenyra's been behind, because she low-key don't care about them at all. She's got to the point where this claim for the throne is so important to her that she does not care who dies. In the meantime, you know, we saw that with the dragon roundup here. She's like, hey, some of y'all gonna die, and that sucks. But you could go back to being hungry. I'm the one making you hungry, or you could go back to starving. It's me who's starving you, or you can get on this dragon. it could kill you. It's my dragon. It can kill you. But remember, I have to be the queen. You know, so I'm really fascinated in watching Rhaenyra because she's playing the right game. She's definitely taking the small folk away from the high towers. I don't even know if you can say the high towers are in charge anymore. I don't even know who's in charge. Aemon's in charge, I guess. But but you're taking the small folk away from them or whatever. But at some points, I'm like, Rhaenyra, at what cost? At what cost? There's all this war.
They signed the waiver.
They did. They really did.
Yeah,
they really did.
Fair game. They're fair game.
Yeah, they knew that there would be some death. You know,
causing all of it. Right? Yeah, she's causing all of it. But you know,
it's above Rhaenyra now. She's giving it to the gods. It's above her.
Yeah, these ain't the same gods that I've heard of. These ain't the gods. I've yet to see this woman pray. You know, so the gods be doing a lot of work for this lady, and she does not seem like a godly woman.
Praying the other episode. She was a nun and everything.
Yeah.
What did she be praying for? Yeah, she was pretending. That lady faked being a nun so that she could be the queen. I'm just saying, this lady's up about it. It's just the vibes ain't vibing, y'all.
I really liked how the sewing looked too. Like at first, I was like, this isn't what I imagined, because like as you're reading it, I did imagine like maybe like a big open field and people burning like that. But I thought that it was interesting that it started off on that same little plinth that we saw. Platform. Sir Dark Meat Darkland get roasted on, and then they all like fell, and then they were running around like that, and I was like, oh, this is it. That was so cool. That visual of Vermithor just walking around chomping people and with the fire while he was just like ducking and dodging. It was great. Honestly, it was great. And the after show talking about like, you know, there's no real reason why we can't know why a dragon picks its rider. That's what it says. It's lost to history. It's whatever. It's the bond between the dragon and the rider. So to see a hard Hugh here just be like, all right, man, let's go to the Bronze Fury, because also Rhaenyra didn't teach them no type of Valyrian or anything.
Not a single word.
She did. I let him do the talking and left. She literally said, I think Vermithor is just gonna talk to y'all for a second. Y'all, it was like he was at an interest meeting. Like, you don't have any questions.
And then she ran off. Like she was like, all right, I'll see y'all.
And then far away from you as possible.
Yeah.
I was like, not a Dohyrus? Like,
no.
Dohyrus.
I don't say calm, please.
Like kitty. Like, I'm becoming fluent in High Valyrian. I'm telling you right now, I am going to learn that language.
I only know the words that can save me from the dragon. Calm, please. Everybody, what is there? No word for peace. Listen, flee. I learned flee tonight. You know, like there's a few of them. But Mari, you mentioned that the dragon keepers. What are their names? The people who are wrangling the dragons.
I think that's just what they're called, just the dragon keepers. And they they're like a religious order. They're like akin to like your it's okay. It's not like a religious order like the Silent Sisters or the Septas and Septons, but it's like it is like the order like the White Cloaks and the Maesters.
They're like
the Maesters, the Night Watch. Yeah, exactly. They are specifically like this is their order, and they, like we saw, they believe the dragons are the gods. You know what I'm saying? That's because that's another thing. That's their thought process. Only dragon lords can ride dragons. That's why it's still a blasphemous thing for you to just put these bastards on it. And they were like, yeah, no, we're out.
Like, I love them so much. I love them so much because they were like, I see you playing with God. I don't like it. We finna go. Because not only is this blasphemous, right? If these are the gods and you got the random stray bastards rolling up trying to get on them, you wildin'. That's crazy. Also, a lot of these people are about to die. Maybe all of them. We don't want to be a part of that. And then on top of that, the last time you did this, a couple of our own died. Rhaenyra, I'm not signing up to be walking each of these people up here. There's 2 dragons. It's at least 50 bastards. The odds are not in my favor that I'm gonna make it out of this one just as a dragon keeper. LaTonya, am I tripping?
I can understand why they decided not to participate in this because Vermithor did turn into Godzilla, like out of nowhere. He went from like being Lakiri and like Dohyrus and like letting her put a hand on his head to being like, okay, now let's have some fun. And it was just like blood sport for him. He was like, I haven't done this in a while. This will be great. Which makes him a perfect match for Vhagar. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
He wasn't even just burning everybody. He started to eat people. Like he really had his time. He knocked some people off the little platform or whatever. And like if he's gonna pick Hugh, there's a good chance that Hugh just dies in the fray of all of that. I mean, he got really lucky that he didn't murder the one bastard
on accident.
That was worthy of him. But it was a fun scene. I'll give Rhaenyra some credit. She got some style because her walking up to Vermithor, like this ain't my dragon, but he know who mama is, touching it, turning her back to it. Like, all right, I'm finna go. Y'all back. Y'all take it easy. Yeah. And just leave it. Like to turn your back on those big ass teeth, you got to have, Lady Balls of Steel. That lady was up there like, yeah, what's up? I got this. And so I was like, okay, cool. But everybody else should have been very concerned because they got massacred. There was so much death in this episode. These people were just getting burned left and right, Mari.
It was so good. I like this was shot so well in low light, but not too low a light.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So I really, really like this. Like I said, Hugh and Vermithor bonding was great. And then I was like, so are we not getting Ulf in Silverwing? And then it cuts to Ulf. He's running because Ulf is all of us. Like
he is me and I am him.
He is me. He's getting lost while running away.
He took that torch and he's like, I am out of here. And he tried to get out of the Dragon Mount. Because for those who don't know, they're in the Dragon Mount on Dragonstone. It's basically the layers of all the dragons. Like we only seen 2 tonight, but there are another. There, like that's where Sea Smoke resides. The cannibal, sheep stealer, and the wild dragons are not in the layer portion of the Dragon Mount, but it's all kind of like one big dragon layer. So they like to have different sections and shit. So like normally there's like a shit ton of dragons in there. But Ulf was just like running to get out, and he runs. He's running to get out, and we see him step into like the egg nest, which we saw in season 1 when Daemon was collecting eggs. And Silverwing, who is a she dragon who does produce clutches of eggs, was like, "Did you just step in my clutch?
Yeah, what did you say?
And what they said in the after episode, which made sense to me at first, because at first I'm like, I know Ulf's not going to do some brave stuff like this. So, why? Silverwing, like War Dog pointed out last week, Silverwing was the mount of Good Queen Alysanne. Good Queen Alysanne is, again, at this point, is the greatest queen of Westeros. She helped so many of the small people, the small folk. She brought like, they talked about how she went to the wall and gave them the gift. Her and her husband built the King's Road, all that to connect the country together and stuff like that. And she was like one of the most gentlest queens. And so they felt like her dragon was one of the most gentle ones. Silverwing is notoriously the dragon that flew towards the wall and would not fly past it. Yeah. She was like, nah. So what they said in the after show is like Ulf really was just like, oh, I'm done. And he just what's the word in like in the animal kingdom, like he just submitted. The actor said he was like, I'm just gonna die here, it's fine. But his submission and his deference to Silverwing is what makes her like bend her neck to him, and I loved that. I really did.
Yeah, I had seen a lot of conversation about how, what was Darkland's big mistake in choosing getting the dragon to choose. And I was like, well, first of all, you don't. I don't think there's any rhyme or reason. Like you've been saying, Mari. The people are saying, there's nothing you can do. The dragon chooses you. We saw the dragon chase down Adam, chased him down. He we'll get to that in a second. But and so for Darkland to stand up there, people were saying, well, he hesitated. I was like, no, I really thought he was very brave for even being able to just walk up there like that. Like, if that's hesitation, then I don't think there's anything else that anybody can do. Hell, we even saw Hugh the Hammer running for his life for at least 10 minutes of this whole dragon sowing thing before he finally stands up and says, okay, just take me or choose me, one or the other. So I really did like that Ulf just kind of trips and falls into Silverwing, and Silverwing, instead of completely like trying to eat him or burning him, she just knocks him over. Like, all right, I think he good. This will work. This will work for me. I ain't flown in a little bit. So I think I found my new favorite dragon, Mari. I think Silverwing's my one.
Silverwing, yeah. Silverwing, she's awesome. So I get that. And she's supposed to be very beautiful. They have like 3 dragons that are like the same kind of like pale greenish, pale bluish. So it's gonna be really cool next week when we see Tessarian, who is like bright ass blue. And if you saw the scenes of the next episode, but yeah. So this is great. The sewing was great. I don't think I can say anything else about the sewing. Rhaenyra is ridiculous. Oh, but we can't talk about like all of a sudden they're like dragon in King's Landing, and Ulf is riding over King's Landing. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, LaTonya, would you trust Ulf the drunk with your dragon? Because I don't know if you should be drinking and driving on a dragon.
I feel like Aegon showed us that is a bad idea. Aegon the current, I'll call him, because there's so many. Oh my god, he looks terrible, but we can talk about that later.
Just like his daddy.
Yes, it's weird. But like Ulf just like almost falling off, like flying around King's Landing, not really knowing how to control the dragon at all, but just kind of enjoying the ride was really great. And it was cool to see like Aemon turn away from a fight, essentially, because he was just like, oh, this is not the dragon that I was expecting. Okay. I guess we'll deal with this at a different time.
Yeah.
He thought he did his big one. He like rode his horse to his dragon and was just like, I'm gonna go take care of this. And then
Vhagar stay parked out back. Like,
what's
going on? All right,
Big Mama Vay.
So old. Like, I feel like most of the time the dragons are just like yapping and complaining about having to like leave the dragon mount or wherever it is they have, like, set up shop.
Like, damn, I guess.
Like the appliances on the Flintstones.
Cyrax and Sea Smoke both seemed over it. They were just like, why are we here? Do we have to do this? Anything that involves more dragons, I am here for it.
So for it. Yeah, exactly. Like, this was definitely one of those episodes you go back and forth. It's like people like me who, like, I know all the political stuff and I like the political stuff, but I'm here to see the fucking dragons. So I like so I like the dragon episode, exactly. Yeah. And then, Chappell likes the political stuff. Taran and Grace have that dynamic over on We Know Scripted TV. Great. But like I love this, at first I was like, what is he doing? Stupid. And then but for him to go back to Dragonstone, and like I was sitting there wondering, I was like, was this like kind of like a trap, or was this like Rhaenyra be like, gang, to show like, oh, look what we got, and Aemon being like, oh, okay, all right, wait, let's reassess and turn around. Like he finally did something smart and not brash. I love that. And then the ending scene of, we see Rhaenyra with Cyrax next to her, Vermithor and over her shoulder, and then we saw like Silverwing in the back. That's exactly the image me, you, and War Dog said maybe it'll end for 2 episodes from now. So now next week episode, Chappell, I'm telling you right now, I don't know what the fuck we're about to watch, because they have so much stuff that they could get into and not enough time. Like, why they did 8 episodes is so stupid.
It's wild.
But I do want to talk about what LaTonya said, because the opening scene, we have Rhaenyra confronting Adam of Hull, Cyrax over her shoulder, Sea Smoke over his shoulder. Remember, these are two dragons that like were once connected by their riders, because that's Rhaenyra's, that's Laenor's old dragon. That's her husband's old dragon. You know what I'm saying? Like, so this scene was really good, because I even felt at one moment as Rhaenyra is talking to Adam, like, who are you? And when he fully stands up and he shows her his face to her, I felt like Emma Darcy did a great job here when they like, it looked like she, like, Rhaenyra was trying, like, saw the resemblance. Was that just me reading into it? It looked like she kind of like, when she looked at him, she was like she was taken aback.
Like Corliss?
Yeah.
Like, it was like
asked his parentage before she asked his name.
Exactly. And she did that look, and she immediately asked about his parentage. So yeah. That is definitely a cookout thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
at the family reunion. Jesus. And that scene was really great, because she was like, somebody's riding this dragon. I need them to be on my side. And for him to immediately bend the knee, I know she was like, oh, something finally easy around here. Like,
right. Yeah.
What did you
think
of that?
Shocked. She was just like, well, okay, then great.
Yeah.
Do you know how to get to Dragonstone?
Well, it was funny to me because she kind of came at him like, and how dare you ride a Targaryen dragon? He was like, what is this? My brother, oh my God, I swear to God. And she's like, oh, okay, cool. Where your daddy? He's like, I don't know. All right. Can you get it to Dragonstone? I think I can. All right, see you soon. Welcome to the crew. You know, it really don't take much. The onboarding was very fast. But yeah, that's the one dragon that joins her ranks outside of the sowing. We also will get the other side of that coin, where Corliss is also informed that there's a dragon rider walking around here with his face. And Mari, what did you think about this interaction with Corliss and his son?
His son. Yeah. I was sitting here like, Corliss, tell them. Like,
tell them.
I was so mad that he wasn't telling them. But him being kind of like peckish with him. The fact that his son was like, can I leave to go fly dragons? Like, I know, like, I'm right, exactly, because he's just an employee at this point. He's not his son, and he's like, oh yeah, you can have leave. Yeah. Also, well done. Like, it's like the most basic as father
Black
stuff.
Father coded so fast.
Everybody in this show, though, is like, this show is the show of bad fathers.
Yeah, very bad.
Just terrible. Like Otto Hightower, my God.
The worst.
Where is he?
Come
on, Otto. Where you at, man? We sent for Otto last time. He still ain't show back up. This is ghetto. Come on home, Otto.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Corliss talks to Adam very briefly. He's like, yeah, you can have time off to go fight for whatever. And then he goes and talks to Alan, and he's like, so I got a task for you. The queen said, if you could just help me out here with this one little project, I need you to go and send for the bastards. Although, just so you know, our people don't really ride dragons like that. So don't get crazy. Your brother, he ride dragons because I don't know your mama like that. Your mama must have had some of that in her, but that's not us. And Alan says, oh, you ain't got to worry about me. I'm from Salt Sea, baby. Like, he does the opposite of what Rhaenyra does, where she tells, was it Baela or Rhaenyra? Baela, where she says, I'm not really into the whole water thing. I don't need to be your heir. I'm flying a dragon. Yeah, Alan says, make no mistake. Keep the dragons away from me. I'll be on the boat. Thanks.
Yeah, to me, it was more like Corliss is like, your brother claimed a dragon. I guess if you want to go claim a dragon,
you want to do that too.
Yeah, and he's like, nah,
it's not for me. Yeah. So you could be like your dear old dad, LaTonya. Won't you? Don't you want to hop on a boat like your daddy?
Yeah, like, hey, no, we haven't talked very much. I am acknowledging that I am your father now. I just wanted you to know that. It's just like the most awkward. Like, these are played so well. Like, first we get the barbershop conversation, which is the blackest thing that's ever happened in the history of House of the Dragon or Game of Thrones between the brothers. And then we get these two scenes with Corliss and his sons, and he's just useless in like every possible way. But he's still standing like shoulders back, chest up, like hand the queen pin on, like, okay, now we're like really doing this. Like, I guess I will honor my wife's wishes and
raise you up.
Acknowledge my sons. Yeah.
But
it's a weird dynamic.
But when Alan said, like, I'm of Salt and Sea, he was like,
okay. All right.
Yeah.
So you might be all right, little boy. You might be all right. I'm gonna have to.
I have reason to be proud of both of you, I guess. And you
I don't
also
know.
Saved my life. So
yeah, should have been proud. Should have been proud. The other dragon that is MIA currently and potential dragon rider that we keep kind of tiptoeing around is Rhaenyra. We see her leaving the Vale and then going over to where this burnt up grass and sheep just kind of like the little sheep graveyard we've seen from obviously been attacked by a dragon. As we talked about with the war dog, that dragon does have a name. We've yet to see that dragon, Mari. How much longer are we going to have Rhaenyra tiptoeing around this thing? Because we at this point, just get on the dragon. Where is it at? Bring it to us.
I know. I think there was like too much dragons in this one. They're like, our VFX is done. Like, so I mean, I don't know, maybe by next episode. Like, I'm so confused with what this, like I keep telling you, I'm so confused what this timeline is gonna look like. So like, I have no clue. And the scenes that they showed for next week, I'm like, this is all over the place. This was all over the place. Well, LaTonya, maybe next week, I don't know.
The timeline is something that I guess I should stop down and complain about just a little bit. LaTonya, you talk about this every week with Rich on your podcast. Have y'all discussed exactly how far is Dragonstone from King's Landing? Because the stuff that they be pulling off, the Uber Eats, the HORDASH or whatever they did last episode happened like overnight. They get the bastards all get the message gets around the city to the bastards. The bastards get on the boat all in one night and back to Dragonstone, all while Alicent is just camping. How long was this? How long did this take?
Well, the way that I think about it, knowing nothing about the geography of Westeros, is that Dragonstone was kind of like the weekend retreat for the Targaryens. So they weren't too far away from King's Landing, and they could very easily access it by dragon, and I guess also ship.
Boat, so regular boat as well.
I'm guessing that they aren't too far away from each other. So I'd say like here-ish.
So I know this answer. Okay.
You know I'm coming, Mari. You know where I'm coming.
I didn't want her to get in the weeds too much.
Yeah.
So a YouTuber actually took the length of the wall. He did a map, a cartography thing. He took the length of the wall, which is like 6,000 miles or something like that, and he took that. He then put it on Dragonstone and King's Landing. And so I believe what he ended up coming up with is that from Dragonstone to King's Landing is about 4,000 miles away, which is the equivalent of from LA to San Francisco, or from Boston to DC, or from, I believe, Miami to Tallahassee, Florida. So think of stuff like that. Like, what is it? What is the flight from LA to San Francisco? Like an hour and a half or something like that?
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, I've done that. Flight.
So and from Boston to DC, about the same. Yeah. So that's how close / far away they are from.
But on a boat, a rowboat.
I mean, the
really strong arms back then.
The rowboats were to bigger boats, though. I think the bigger boats were parked further out. So So like a cruise line. So like say a cruise. If you cruise,
but even the bigger boats are still rowboats, essentially. They're sailboats, right? There's no motors here.
But it's still like you're sailing. It's winds and sails.
They're being led by the finest nautical mind in existence in Corliss. Like he knows the time.
I'm thinking it's like at most a 3 day. I'm thinking at most it's a 3 day Bahamas cruise.
A 3 hour tour, maybe. I'm thinking.
Crazier things have happened on a 3 hour tour, LaTonya. I'm just saying, the only reason I asked is because while all of this is happening, Alicent has taken a hiatus. She's like, I want to go outside. Come on, Rickard, let's go. They go out. She's riding a horse. She's camping. We see her spend at least one night out in the woods. She tells him, I don't even know when I'm going back out. She goes and she purifies herself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. And then that's it. That's all. So while all of this is happening, Alicent is just out. She's kicking it. And I'm thinking, was this a week? Was this 2 weeks?
Nah.
How did they pull this off so quickly?
Nah, Alicent she's just in the Kingswood. So that's like
she ain't even that far.
She's like literally in their backyard, basically. Yeah. She's in the reserved Kingswood, which is like the wood that is protected and preserved for the king to go hunting. It's right out back. She right out back.
But she there for 2 weeks because there's just, in my mind, there's no way that you get all this back and forth across this water, all these whispers and stuff like that out, the recruiting, the sewing, all this stuff done, and all she did was go in the backyard for a day or two. I was like, ma'am, the timeline is really throwing me off now, LaTonya.
What she did was go into a different show. Whenever the Alicent scenes came up, I was like, oh, okay. This is kind of like the prelude to a horror movie that takes place in the woods. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is completely different than everything else that's going on in this show. And the cinematography is even vastly different. We are in nature. It is jarring sometimes to go to her
I don't
scenes.
even know why they did it.
Yeah, that it was very random to be like, we just need to get Alicent out the way. Let's send her on a camping trip because she just goes in the backyard. Yeah, she did. She cleansed herself. That was cool. For a second, I thought maybe her and Sir Rickard was about to do a little something or other out there in the woods. I thought because I was like, well, girl, what else you got going on for us? She ain't got no man. I was like, well, see what can happen. You know, what else you doing? But they didn't do nothing with her. They literally did nothing. She just got out the way. And we made room for all this other dragon stuff to go on. So when she gets back, I'm sure she will be shocked and not so pleasantly surprised at what happens. Because Aemon will have to report back at some point what's going on. And this whole sowing of the dragons thing is probably not going to go over too well.
But that's her role now. Like, she's been stripped of every official duty and has been told to go tend to domestic pursuits. Whatever that means.
I guess I'll go camping.
I've never seen Alicent do a domestic pursuit in the entirety of the show.
She used to keep that baby. She used to be walking around carrying the baby.
Show. Yeah. Like, that baby immediately went back to the wet nurse whenever she was out from around people.
So speaking of Aemon, we find out that there's some good news for Aemon though. He has a brother who might be ready to ride soon. Mari, we've been waiting on him. Where is Daeron? Daeron.
Daeron.
Yeah.
Daeron. You know, him and Tessarion doing some like test circles and stuff. They on their way.
What's his dragon's name?
Tessarion. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The Blue Queen.
Oh, there's gonna be a lot of kids named that in a little while.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What? I thought Maelys Alizé was a cute baby name. You know, after the dragon. LaTonya, what you think about it?
It was sad when I saw it on the obituary. I was just
like, that took me out. It's the Alizé that gets it every time. But Rhaenys might be another one that pop up in a few years. As an educator, I can already tell. I'll be taking a role one day, and I'm gonna just look up like this. Rhaenys.
Many Khaleesi's as there
I had 3 Kais in my camp this last couple weeks. There were 3 children named Kai. We said the name Kai taking attendance, and 3 people raised their hands. So we had to give them different names. We had a Just Kai, we had a Guy Kai, and then we had Kai Marie, whose full name was Kai Marie. So I feel like that needs to be done with the Aegons in this universe. Like, people need to differentiate them in some way so that certain people don't make mistakes and look stupid later.
First and middle name would work as well. I think that'd be another good way to kind of keep these people separate. We haven't talked about Mysaria enough in this episode yet. She seemed to have some philosophical differences with Rhaenyra in this one. She's like, "Are you sure this is how you want to move? Is this what we're doing?" But she is the one.
She gave her the idea.
Yeah.
I mean, she gave her the idea about the bastards, but they really did have a sit-down conversation about what's the direction we're going here? Because, you know, the people, the lowborns are who we're bringing in now. She's one of the first people kind of flagged there, like the small folks, they're not dragon riders. They're not. This is not really their realm normally. You know, she's the one who gets the ball rolling on it. But I like that Mysaria is kind of the de facto hand of the queen instead of Corlys, which I really haven't seen Corlys doing any handing. He feels like a figurehead to me, LaTonya.
Well,
what do you think?
I mean, yes, I mean, he kind of is a figurehead. Like, he's the Lord of the Tides. And you've seen, like, in previous episodes, there is a noticeable shift among the men of the Black Council whenever he enters the room.
Exactly.
So, like, he commands authority because of what he has done and who he is. And that is why he is in that position. I like the idea of Mysaria, though, as the Master of Whispers, because, I mean, she's really good at it. She has a large network of people who are, like, easily indoctrinated as well, because they're so malcontent from everything that's been happening with, like, the Aegon Aemon administration. And, you know, there are I mean, she even suggested in the last episode where she was just like, surely there are more people who could be appropriate for this. And she's just like, maybe it's time to, like, get off your high dragon and like realize that the small folk could actually help you in more ways than one.
Yeah. Because it does feel like, you know, Rhaenyra's whole thing was, you know, like, well, dang, we tried Darkland, and, you know, he was worthy of the honor of this thing. Mysaria's like, bruh, honor ain't gonna get you nowhere. You're like, are your half brothers, are they honorable? What are they doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to get down and dirty. And Mari, I think that's what you were saying, where this is Mysaria is the one who gets this thing popping.
Yeah, she does. She's the one who reminds her that, like, Targaryens have bastards all over the place here. So, like, Corlys, we saw Corlys in this episode be the hand. He walked in the room. They're like, oh, there's a guy on a dragon. What are we gonna do? We should do this. We should do that. Corlys said, we're gonna listen to the queen. And they're all like,
exactly.
Okay, you're right. You're right.
So for sure.
So he is doing his hand duties and wrangling those lords on the small council. And I think Mysaria is doing her duty as the Mistress of Whispers and being able to bring several different, different points of view to Rhaenyra. My biggest thing is you're the Mistress of Whispers and stuff, but y'all still don't know what Daemon doing out there in the Riverlands. And where is Alfred Broom? That nigga left 3 episodes ago.
Wait,
never come back.
You still ain't get to Harrenhal. The guy
the guy that Rhaenyra sent to be like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, apparently Harrenhal's further than King's Landing is, because damn, you could get to Dragonstone and King's Landing back and forth 8 times. She done sent the Uber Eats over there. She done sent the back for the bastards, sent them back. This man still ain't made it to Harrenhal. What is he walking? He on foot. He walking on. He ain't got no horse.
She ain't give him nothing. Yeah, she get your ass out of here.
Yeah.
So, like, can we talk about the fact that Daemon Targaryen got humbled by a 12-year-old?
First of all, don't ever disrespect Oscar Tully like that again, okay? Not a 12-year-old, the 12-year-old. That man said, "Oh, okay, hold on." Yeah,
okay.
Look,
in a world of Lyanna Mormonts, I don't know if he's
one of them. He's one of them, okay? She is her, but he is him. Because make no mistake, Daemon hit him with the he called him. He's like, "Oh yeah, Prince," and he said, "Oh no, you mean King? You might want to watch your tongue." And he stepped up to Daemon and said, "Listen to me. Do you want our help or not? Okay, so who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Say it to me. Say, oh wait, what? Okay, thought so." Then on top of all that, he looked at Willem and said, "Willem, hey, all these people are really upset with you and your war crimes. And Daemon, since you sent him to do him, you go handle it." And Daemon did not even take a breath. He went over there and immediately punished Willem for his war crimes. Chopped him right up. Squat, slice, done. And now Daemon has the loyalty of the Riverlands and Oscar Tully and all this other stuff, just because he finally had to atone for his sins. And poor Willem was the fall person. Mari, I'm not gonna lie, this was my favorite part of the entire episode. I was enjoying all of this.
I was literally sitting here like, Daemon Targaryen cannot be any worse of a leader. Like the way he talked to Oscar when he first got in there, like you said, like you rightfully pointed out, I'm like, why are you bad at this? Then when he went out there and they just kept sunning him left and right until he finally was like, all right, this kid cool. Okay, y'all, my bad. I'm sorry. I didn't mean the war crimes. I'm sorry. But immediately as that was happening, I was like, oh, poor Willem. I knew exactly what was about to happen. I was like, R.I.P. to Big Daddy Willie, who was a G from 10 when he killed that Bracken in Rhaenyra's while courting Rhaenyra back in the day. But Willem was like, all right, your grace, tell him to let me go.
Yeah. They tripping King. They tripping King. Talk to him. Talk to him, man.
That was hard to watch.
What you doing,
that was
man?
hard.
What you doing?
Yeah.
Get off me. Get off.
Yeah. No.
Damon
tough
was
to
like,
watch.
Damon had to dispatch him because he didn't want to hear it either. I thought this was perfect. I love this scene. I'm like, finally, at least some payoff in the Heron Hall, because I was really like, how are they going to get out of this with the Rivermen mad? He's pissing off Tully. I was so confused. That's when I thought Alfred Broom was gonna like walk his ass up and be like, "Oh, but remember Queen Rhaenyra?" And they'd be like, "Oh yeah, we like the Queen.
Oh yeah, we like her.
We like the Queen." Yeah, but I thought this was so masterful. Tully kind of walking him into that. It almost felt like a trap for Daemon, in a sense. But I as much as I liked Willem Blackwood, I was like, this is fitting. Yeah,
I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the children, like, come on.
Yeah, in another world, Willem was once Oscar, when he was a little one, not to be messed with. And so Oscar, like, yeah, I'm next up. I really enjoyed this because for me, Daemon has always been the reason why it's been so easy for me to be Team Green. Like for me, I've always been like, y'all act like Team Black is like this righteous source of like, well, you gotta be tripping if you Team Green. I'm like, do y'all see what Daemon out here doing? I mean, killing babies, the war crimes, all this kind of stuff. And everybody acts like this plays death when I start talking about Daemon. Like, what? Well, he loves Rhaenyra, does he? Like every chance this man gets, he keeps bringing up that he's the king. He rarely talks about Rhaenyra as the queen ever. He's always like, as the king, I say that you do this. And so watching Daemon get humbled, it really did feel good. I start to feel that slight pull over to Team Black a little bit. I was like, well, if Oscar Tully going, I might see what y'all talking about.
The facial expressions that Matt Smith makes, like he's like a beat dog. Like we've never seen Daemon like this before. And it's really humbling to see it. I just like, you can't mess with a 400-year-old witch.
You just can't. And her ass wasn't even in this episode. Where the hell is Alice Rivers? She the one who killed the old Tully. I guess she had to get out the way.
And then to end this scene off with Viserys sitting on the bed, all decrepit, talking about the crown, asking Daemon if he wanted the crown. I love this. I was like, okay, finally the dreams, like all the dreams with Viserys. I'm like, okay, we're finally like, soothing his ego, his id, it's finally like he's asking himself those questions like, was all of this worth it? I like this. I really liked it. And then find out that this was Patty Constantine's idea. Like they asked him to come back to do the scene, and he was like, well, if I'm going to do the scene, I want to do it in the decrepit makeup. And they were like, oh, snap. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I love Viserys in this role as the moral compass, because although he's saying the stuff to Daemon, it could apply to literally everybody. Everybody is willing to do some disgusting things to get this crown. And he's like, I didn't even want the thing or the pain. And it crushes whoever wears it. He didn't say it's going to crush you, Daemon. I mean, it would crush Daemon. It'll crush Aegon. It'll crush Aemon. It'll crush Rhaenyra. It's going to crush Daenerys. It's going to crush whoever wants it this bad. If you're exactly. And a lot of people want it, and eventually I think a lot of people are going to get crushed. We know that to be true. So I really did love seeing Vizzy T back again. But LaTonya, you brought him up earlier. We got Vizzy T at home. Aegon, he looking a little Vizzy T-ish.
I hate that this show is written so well that it makes me feel sympathy for people that I don't want to feel sympathy for. I do not like Aegon. He is like a noted sexual assaulter and just all around terrible idiot of a person.
Yeah.
But like I have experienced having to learn to walk again, and it is as hard as they make it look. Like it is just one of those things that you have to try at doing. I really like this idea. It's so weird because I feel like for the last 2 seasons, this show has been trying to make Larys strong happen, and he just hasn't happened. But like he found out that he wasn't going to be able to worm his way into like Aemon's good graces. So he was like, okay, I guess I'll put all my lot in with this decrepit, torn up moron. And he's like in charge now of physical therapy and like how often the Maester does all of this. And it's really interesting to see Larys use what he has had to learn throughout his life from his disability as a means of taking power. Like that's a really interesting way to like write a character that makes me a little intrigued to see what Larys and Aegon are going to get up to.
Yeah, because the word gets to Larys that the bastards are collecting dragons now, and so we see him get that whisper, and he kind of like, all right, keep that to yourself. I'll handle that. No worries.
I don't think he believed it.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, that sounds crazy. That sounds wild. But then we see him that, like you said, he's in charge of the physical therapy because one, he's somebody who has struggled with some of this walking. I'm sure it's been tough for him at one point or another. But also, Aegon is his ticket to power. And he's like, I gotta get him out of bed. I gotta get him up and running because even if the bastard thing is true, we're gonna need him. We're gonna need him. We're gonna need his other dragon that we have not seen. We still haven't got a time of death on. Is it Syraxis? What's the dragon's name?
Sunfire.
Sunfire. Yeah, we still don't have a time of death on Sunfire, so I'm assuming that Aegon would still be assigned to him. And so it's like, yeah, we're gonna need Aegon because he is the real king currently. Our prince consort is on the throne. But we got Prince Regent, I guess I should call it right. Prince Regent is on the throne. But we got to get him up and running. And so we see him and the Maester trying to really push Aegon to walking. And Mari, I don't know. Aegon looks like he on borrowed time. It looks like Larys is wasting his time. I don't think they're going to be able to force this Larys thing to happen.
Yeah, I mean, but Larys has no other recourse. Like this is his only opportunity, and Aegon's not going to get better just laying in bed drinking milk of the poppy. He has to get up. He has to rehab, as anybody knows. So Larys is like, I'm going to make Aegon happen. I am going to make sure that he doesn't waste away on this bed. And you know what I'm saying? So it makes sense to me. It makes sense. Yeah. And like LaTonya said, I want to see where this goes.
Because he has to do this quickly because as we know, people have sent for Otto Hightower. We've yet to see Otto. But we know he has been sent for wherever he is. He's coming back. And once he comes back, he will be the hand to Aemon. And so if Otto gets his grips back into Aemon, I don't think there's going to be anything that Larys can do to fix that without Aegon being up and running. So he's definitely going to have to move quickly, but it doesn't look good. Mari, is there anything else we missed in this episode?
No, I think we got everything. Yep.
Yes. So since we got everything, LaTonya, anything you want to flag up?
I just want to point out Kurt Ajiawan, I think is his name, who plays Maester Orwyle.
Oh, yeah.
Has been doing a really great job this season of just kind of like being everyone's confidant accidentally, but also just being really good at his job because it's kind of an unprecedented injury that he's helping Aegon to recover from, and he's still alive somehow. So it's been really interesting to see his character arc and like to just see how smart he is really cool.
He knows when
I've liked a lot of the casting decisions that they've made, like when casting the Black characters in this show.
Yeah. Maester of minding his own business. He has mastered it, and I am very proud of him. Mari, we still got some book club to get into. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Do the
All right.
down before we get into it.
Yeah, so if you
bye.
Yeah, so if you are listening to this and you don't want to hear any spoilers or anything of that nature, we're about to tap into Maester Mari's book corner, and that's where we're going to talk about some of the way the book depicts some of the action from this episode. And so now is the time to tap out. We can catch you all here next week for more HOTD, the Westeros Kickback, season 2, episode 8, the finale of House of Dragon season 2. And you can also catch our other recap kickback content. Like I said, LaTonya and I had the Simone Biles documentary talk, where we talked about the documentary and the docuseries and the USA gymnastics team. We're gonna have more Olympics conversations, I'm sure. So make sure you tune into that. But there's plenty of other content or recap kickback. So go ahead and subscribe, and then we will catch you all next week if you want to tap out of the book corner. But if you are here to hear about the books, Maester Mari, take it away.
All right. Some of the biggest departure from the book is Jace being mad about the dragon seeds in the books. It is his idea, just like how we saw what was that, 2 episodes ago when he brought it up to his mom. So like it was his idea. He was the one who issued the proclamation. Any man or woman who can tame a dragon, you will become a lord and a lady. States will be visited upon you, and it's kind of him who builds a bastard army. He's the one who flies at the head of this new dragon battalion. So I actually like that they added this with him where he's trepidatious about it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you thought hearing that, Chappell?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I like that it adds a little bit more flavor to Jace, because the idea that you could just go give these dragons to anybody, it is a radical idea. It is very extreme. It's not like obviously it happened in the book, so everybody knew it was coming. It was very clear that the show was going in that direction, but it shouldn't be something that's taken lightly. People are going to die, but then it's also a level of status that comes with these dragons. And, like if you really think that the dragons are of the gods, and a lot of people do, then it does seem to be blasphemous to just be handing it to anybody, and so I like that there was a lot of pushback against the idea that you can just do whatever you want with these dragons. They haven't been living life like that for this long, because if they had, there probably would have been another bastard dragon rider prior to this. It's easy to gatekeep the dragons when you think that only certain people of a certain class, of a certain background, of a certain lineage all can ride them. But now you're saying, no, any drunk off from the bar who mama and daddy's backgrounds are questionable could potentially be a dragon rider. And I think that opens the world up to a lot more possibilities. And so I think that having Jace be a one to bring that question up, especially with those parallels between his story and Rhaenyra's, I think that it made a lot of sense to me. What about you, LaTonya?
Yeah, it made a lot of sense to me that he would throw a bit of a tantrum, because he likes to do that. He's broody, he's like very Jon
he's
Snow.
At that age.
Yeah. And so, the other funny thing about him is the internet's obsession with the fact that he seems to be constantly serving face, no matter what he's going
what the situation is.
He said, "Where's my mother?" Was it Jace?
And he definitely inherited that from Rhaenyra. They both just have face-offs while they're having their little conversation.
Why is Chappell serving?
Chappell, you're killing me.
If y'all aren't watching the YouTube right now, I feel
because that's how he be looking the whole time. I said, Jace, why are you so bothered?
Chappell is doing Blue Steel for all the people.
Yeah, that's Jace is the most Zoolander character on this show, and it's not even close. But that's a great point. I mean, serving face and complaining, that's all he can do.
Yeah, I mean, he's done some good stuff, like flying around and uniting, getting the North, and then getting the Freys, who are the worst, together on his side. But yeah, I mean, it is interesting to see the dynamic of how this works and how he immediately takes it to the succession and starts to question his mother from that point of view. I'm sure that his mind will change when he sees that, honestly, not that many people survived.
Yeah, we got rid of a lot of bastards that could potentially make this claim. This was a good thing, Jace.
Exactly.
I know we really cleared house,
no actual bastards were harmed in the making of this episode. Mari, what else was different in the book?
So I want to talk about Ulf and Hugh's parentage.
And
So
pause. Can we talk about Hugh's kid as well? We didn't. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to yada yada, but the kid's dead.
The kid's dead.
The kid's dead.
I know. And it was just one line. Like, I couldn't save her. And I sat up in the bed. I was like, what? And I was
said,
like,
wait,
James,
baby girl?
Yeah.
She's dead. Last time we saw her, she was just feverish. What's happening?
People died, y'all, and it was a lineless character on House of the Dragon.
I felt so bad for the mom because, like, she's like, I don't want to be a lady. Like, no shit, she doesn't want to be a lady anymore. Her kid is dead. Like, she doesn't give a shit. Like, I don't
want to be a widow trying to be a lady.
Your child dies, and then like a week later, your husband is like, I'm sorry, honey, but like I got the dragons are calling me. I gotta go claim a dragon. Like, get on board. And she's like, dude.
But the kind of funny thing is, she's like, dog, let's just go to Tumbleton and see my brother. Yeah. Spoiler alert, Tumbleton finna see a battle soon. So it's kind of like
he gonna be there with or without her.
Tumbleton is just like
fire, yeah.
Tumbleton is just like the first staging site for every Targaryen war, because that's where Dany first lit him up with like all the Lannister armies and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tumbleton is just like it's not good. So okay, even more spoiler alert for like season 3 or 4. It's like 2 battles in Tumbleton.
Let's go to Tumbleton. He gonna be like, remember that time you wanted to go to Tumbleton? Well, guess what? I'm going to Tumbleton. He's like, all right.
Oh my god.
So that's enough about his kid. R.I.P. to the homie. What about his parents? Which one of these parents are Targaryen? Because he started to name drop some people.
Okay, so again, Sir Darkmeat Darkland, it was his great grandma that was a Targaryen, right?
Allegedly.
Right.
Allegedly. So for all of this talk of like, we don't know how the dragons choose their riders and stuff like that, it would seem that blood is like a major factor here if what Hugh is saying. So Hugh was basically saying he doesn't know who his father is, but his mother was a Targaryen, and he talked about how she worked in a pleasure house, and that he was just as big or just as whatever as her brother's sons Viserys and Daemon. So what this narrows it down. It feels like it doesn't, because Viserys and Daemon's parents, right? So King Jaehaerys I and Queen Alysanne, Jaehaerys is the one who has the big council, right? Mm-hmm. He had 11 children. Yeah.
Jesus. Is he Ballerina Farms? What is he trying to do?
Basically. So of those 11 kids, right, lots of shit befell all of them because his reign was very long. But one of his kids' name is Sarah, or Sarah, but Saera. Sarah. I said Sarah Targaryen. She is the ninth.
South. They say Sarah.
Sarah, yeah.
Sarah.
Mm-hmm. She's the ninth child and the 5th daughter of King Jaehaerys and Queen Alysanne, and because of that, she's kind of like, she wants the attention because it's just such a big family, and she was known to be like a bold child from the get-go. But basically, she's like, I'm not important. I'm the 9th child, 5th daughter. I'm not important. I'm just gonna do what I want to do. Long story short, her and her friends, 2 of her girlfriends, were messing around with 3 little lordlings. Like, they was doing some things, and she got sent to Old Town to be like a silent sister, but she was like, I ain't trying to do all this. So she escaped, and she was gone, and they didn't know where she went for about like 6 months until she showed up in Lys, still wearing her scepter clothes, and was in a pleasure house, and she becomes like a famous courtesan, so much to the point where she's like ruling Lys at one point. Like, she's basically ruling there. And during the Great Council 101, she actually sends 3 of her bastard sons to like make a claim for the throne, and they're like easily dismissed because Jaehaerys and Queen Alysanne, not Queen Alysanne, wanted to like go to her, but Jaehaerys basically disowns her. And so what it seems like is that's why I was saying, like, if we pinpoint Hugh's age, if he's about 45, then it tracks that she may have had him before she went over to Lys. Like, if she started out in a pleasure house here, like in Westeros and King's Landing, and then she goes over to Lys and becomes a famous courtesan. So he's saying that his mom is Sarah Targaryen, again, daughter of Jaehaerys and Alysanne, sister to Baelon Targaryen, who is Viserys and Daemon's father. So it's a really big. So Hugh being accepted by Vermithor, it makes sense because, like, that's
grandmother's
basically
dragon.
Exactly. Vermithor, not Queen Alysanne's dragon is Silverwing.
Oh,
Vermithor,
sorry.
That would be his grandfather's dragon, because the old king did ride Vermithor. So yeah,
gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like, the blood is right there. It's not like it's far away. That's basically, he was basically her uncle. It's Rhaenyra's uncle.
Yeah. Because he's cousins with
cousins. Okay,
with
so her
a
cousin. Yeah. So a cousin. So yeah.
Okay.
We would just call him an uncle.
We would call him an uncle. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. All right, and tell me about Off the White. Who is he kin to?
So Ulf said a few episodes ago that Baelon the Brave was his father. Baelon the Brave is the father of Viserys and Daemon.
Right.
Yeah. So just
and
straight
Baelon
up,
was the one who rode Vhagar. From what I remember, Baelon rode Vhagar, which is why it was very interesting that Aemon ends up riding Vhagar, because people were like, "Oh, he stole that dragon," but I was like, "Well, that's his pawpaw dragon, basically, right? Or his great grandfather's dragon, so it makes sense that he could be able to ride it."
Baelon did ride Vhagar along with his father, who was on Vermithor.
Yeah, look at that.
Yep.
I'm telling you, I'm getting it.
Job.
Yeah, I'll be doing
so
my research.
Yeah. It's so hard to figure out which ones were like hatched their own dragons versus which ones claimed older dragons. But yes, so Baelon the Brave, who was Jaehaerys the first, like, that was his heir. That's who they thought was gonna pass the throne to. But with his death, that's where the Great Council came in. And so Baelon, Viserys, he's the father of Viserys, Daemon, and supposedly Ulf the White. Now, when that could have happened, again, how old do we think Ulf is? Because, you know, Baelon dies in 101 AC at the Great Council. That's 28 years before the sowing. So it couldn't have been that late. Yeah. So, but anyway, so for all of this talk of like, oh, you know, it could be anybody, you just need a drop of blood. Both of these men are claiming like direct parentage to like very recent Targaryens. Like, it's, you know, so does it just come down to blood? It would be the question.
Well, that's why I found it interesting what Jace was doing, his complaining about, you know, is he legitimized with all these other bastards running around? Because let's say Rhaenyra does die, and then let's say Jace has an accident and he dies, but you have Off the White saying, well, Baelon is my daddy. What's up? Then what? What are you going to tell him? He flies in on his dragon, says Baelon is his daddy. He has the white hair, and somebody says, you do kind of favor. Then what do? You know what I'm saying? At that point, is anybody looking at, does Jace have any heirs? Or are they going to be like, well, we got a guy. And that might incentivize them to even get rid of Jace. You know, we saw that when Rhaenyra's claim started coming up, they would go to Alicent and be like, you know, it incentivizes Alicent to get rid of your kids if you are, you know, if you have a potential heir, they can take the throne. I think that Jace is I think that his paranoia, or at least his anxiety about this whole situation, I think when you outline it like that, with the blood being so close to these original writers, I think it's hard for you to be comfortable with something like this happening.
Yep, it's not unfounded. So yeah, I completely agree with that.
Mari, what else we got?
Yeah, no, that is it. for the book quarter. They did an amazing job with the sewing. There's nothing else to talk about. We've talked about the sewing in like the last 4 book corners. So yeah, I now that we got we got like Hard Hugh talking about his parentage here, I definitely wanted to touch on that because Sarah's kind of like a tragic figure depending on how you see it. If you think Viserys is a bad father, like Jaehaerys is kind of like his story is kind of up there too, only because him and his wife like had so many kids, and you know they couldn't figure out what to do with all of them. They had so many kids, and then they reigned for so long. They reigned for like 60 plus years. So it's like you gave them absolutely nothing to do. So half of them just fucked about.
Yeah, sounds about right.
It's kind of like what happened in Queen Charlotte. Yeah, okay, I'm done.
I don't know. LaTonya, anything you want to add for this episode before we wrap up?
No, I don't think so. I am anxiously awaiting the finale because they have a lot of stuff to tie up.
Me too. Exactly.
In like 72 minutes of time. I believe
don't know what's gonna happen. Yeah, exactly.
I have no idea what's gonna happen. Will there be a battle of some sort? Because like, you know, Kristen and Gwaine went off a couple episodes ago and we have not seen them or what's going to happen with them. Like, I don't know what the resolution is going to be to this whole Harrenhal thing, because Alice did say you will die in this place. So, tend to believe her.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm anxiously awaiting the finale. I do not know what is going to happen, and that makes me happy.
I'm very excited as well. I thought that this episode, like I said, it's not my favorite episode because there wasn't a lot of maneuvering, but there was a lot of dragging. And so I think a lot of people who've been waiting on that kind of content were fed. I think they gave us what we wanted to keep everybody quiet. We got the resolution at Harrenhal. We got the red sowing. We see the bastards. We see the movement. Alicent, God knows what she's doing. But we have one more episode before we wrap this whole thing up and start to wait for season 3, which will be years from now, probably, knowing the pace that we go here on House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones. So until then, I guess we will have to bid you all farewell and let LaTonya tell you where she can be found and where she's talking about House of Dragon these days.
Yeah, find me at the Screen and Page Pod with Rich, talking every week about House of the Dragon. So there will be more of the same of this. Hopefully I will have developed more thoughts by the time tomorrow happens and we do that podcast. You all are like wild for this, for recording right after the episode airs. But like it's a whole thing. But yeah, you can also find me back here talking about Simone Biles' documentary on Netflix, as well as general Olympic stuff, because I think we're gonna revisit the topic of the Olympics at the end of the week, right?
Yeah, we gotta do something. We gotta tap in every now and then because we got a lot of medals. A lot of medals have come across this US stage already, and LaTonya and I are dying to talk about them with somebody. So yeah, happy to have you back whenever you're ready.
Okay, great. So yeah, follow me at LK Starks on Twitter to find out what I'm up to. I'm also at Stormborn1222 on Instagram. Just took a little trip to Boston, and I posted a lot of pictures from that. So check them out.
Yeah. And Mari, what about you? What do you have coming up?
You can just find me over on Crime Scene, where me and Sarah Carradine break down true crime docuseries and tell you if you should watch them. We just are covering, coming up this week, the Pillowcase Murders on Paramount Plus. Spoiler alert, it was really good. Me and Sarah just together talk about it, and we have a blast breaking down this docuseries. So go to robhasawebsite.com/crime feed in order to subscribe to our true crime podcast. And then you can find me at Mari Talks Too Much on Twitter. That's 2 like the number 2, where I'm mostly just retweeting Big Brother stuff, to be quite honest. And I will be talking Big Brother over on Rob Has a Podcast. on the roundtable this week. So if you do love Big Brother, then definitely come check us out over on the Rob Has a Podcast YouTube page for the roundtable. So that's it.
Yeah, thank you, Mari, and thank you, LaTonya. And as far as I'm concerned, you can catch me here on Recap Kickback, of course, but you can also catch me on RHAP, the ESPN of reality TV, where we're over there talking about reality TV all the time. We got Big Brother coverage, as Mari has outlined, but we also have other reality shows, including Below Deck. Below Deck Mediterranean is happening right now, and Sasha and I are talking about it every week on Wednesday at 3 p.m. live on YouTube, or you could just subscribe to the Below Deck wrap-up feed wherever you get your podcast to keep up with all that and more. Also, you can catch me on the Nothing But Netflix podcast with my co-host Rob Sesternino, where every week we talk about a new Netflix show, whatever's popping or whatever we want to talk about, really. But if it's on Netflix, that's what we got coming your way. And so this week we had Lavina on as our special guest to talk about Dirty Pop, the story, the nefarious story of the boy bands of the 90s and early 2000s, and what it looks like when these boy bands are created as a cover-up for a Ponzi scheme. So check that out on the Nothing But Netflix podcast. And then, of course, Recap Kickback here. We have the Simone Biles conversation that LaTonya already alluded to. But we also had 40 Years of Purple Rain. That's right. Purple Rain was released 40 years ago. And so Camille and I dropped our recap of the movie and our conversation about one of the most iconic musicians of all time. That would be the purple one himself, Prince. And so check that out on recapkickback.com. Make sure you subscribe to Recap Kickback wherever you get your podcast. And make sure you come to our YouTube page, recapkickback.com or /YouTube or youtube.com/@recapkickback to make sure that we know that you are a part of this community. We also have a Facebook page. You can join the Facebook group too, facebook.com/recapkickback. So there's so many different ways to join this community and our conversation, but please feel free to reach out. Let us know what you want to hear us talk about and let us know what you think about the podcast. 5-star reviews, whenever you can give them, because we really can't see anything less than that. So make sure you send those reviews, send the feedback, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts to keep up with all the Recap Kickback content and more. So that's it. LaTonya and Mari, it's been great. You all the listeners, you ain't got to go home, but we only got one episode of House of the Dragon left. And so until next time, peace.